Clean Water Conversations is sponsored by Chesapeake Conservancy, working to conserve and restore the natural and cultural resources of the Chesapeake Bay watershed for the enjoyment and inspiration of this and future generations. Thank you, Chesapeake Conservancy. And now, on to our show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Clean Water Conversations, the podcast where we have casual discussions about creating clean and clear waterways right here in Lancaster County. I'm Kenn.
Hey, everybody, I'm Allyson.
Allison, welcome to Season 3 of our podcast.
Season 3. Yeah. So says our audience.
Allison, we are in the middle of a snowy season for us.
Yeah, it's nice. It feels very festive.
It is very festive. But what's your favorite part of the snow? Any kind of activities or what have you?
Yeah, I like curling up by the fire inside and watching the snow fall because it is very festive and very pretty.
Yeah.
But I do like the sense of peace and the quiet that comes along with the snow. You can feel it, you can smell it right beforehand.
Yeah.
And then, just being able to sit outside in the peaceful and the calm when people stop for a little bit.
Yeah.
How about you?
That's pretty much me too.
Yeah?
Watching it is what I was going to say. Yeah. That's, sit inside in the nice and warm with some nice, quiet, calming music and watching the snow fall.
Yeah.
Or sitting out on my porch and actually listening to it fall.
Oh, that's true.
That's really cool.
There's a part of me that wishes I was a big cross-country skier, or I love to have snowball fights, and I'm just not there.
Yeah.
I'm curious to find out what you say is on your list of awesomeness during this snowy time.
Season 3 of the podcast. I am looking so forward to this upcoming season. We have all of our guests locked in, and I'm just looking down through the roster and just the different perspectives and different types of things that people are doing for Clean and Clear by 2040.
Yeah, it's quite the calendar. I'm excited for it.
Very cool. How about you? What's on your list of awesome?
Ooh, list of awesomeness right now. It includes the revision of our common agenda. And I know some people are like, what are you talking about? The list of awesomeness is strategic planning. But the common agenda is something that everybody in the network has agreed to. And it's a guide for all of us to be working towards that common goal of clean and clear by 2040. So making sure it's reflecting where we are now. We have not really revised the common agenda since 2017, 2018. So it's time, and it's going to be an awesome piece of 2025. So really looking forward to that. And then also, one of the other things on my list of awesomeness is that our team member, Megan, and a team member from the Conservation District, Amanda, are guests on the Lancaster Conservancy's Nature Hour. And they are the speakers tonight about the delisting strategy and some of the implementation of the conservation work. So pretty exciting to hear from them. And that's something that you can find online at any time.
There you go. And we have a really cool show today.
Yes, we do.
She is the Pennsylvania State Director and Agricultural Program Director at the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay. She's also the chair of the Board of Trustees for Lancaster Clean Water Partners.
Let's welcome Jenna Mitchell Beckett.
Let's start off with an icebreaker. What is something that newbies to the conservation world would find unique about you? Like, not your deepest, darkest secrets or anything like that, but something that they might not know about you.
I don't come from a strong... I think when folks see agriculture director, they think that I probably have a strong ag background. I didn't grow up on a farm. I've always been very passionate about farms. I think that's, in a lot of folks that are born and raised in Lancaster County. But I really found my way into ag through my environmental journey. And I think that is surprising to some folks.
Huh. So, so where did you grow up then?
I grew up in Lancaster. Started at actually the school district in Lancaster in the city, and then moved into the suburbs. So, and it was never really in a rural environment other than just tromping around Lancaster County, different farm stands and things along those lines. But yeah, but my mom is from a dairy, or she spent some time on a dairy farm in Lebanon County, actually. So my full roots are not Lancaster County.
We won't tell.
So yeah. So I have some ancestors in that world, but yeah. Yeah, born and raised in Lancaster, and just so grateful to have found my way back here and have made a career out of, opportunities and need that Lancaster County has.
Yeah. So we'll kind of get into your progression to where you are now. What started your interest in conservation?
That's a good question. I think I've always been drawn toward playing outside.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved playing with dirt. Always been drawn to streams, gardening, etc. I think some of my earliest memories in school are Envirothon and, participating in that great program.
Right.
And then once I graduated high school and went to college, I actually chose politics as my major at American University.
Oh my
word.
And quickly realized that I did not want to spend the rest of my life in politics, nor did I love living in DC, and switched then to environmental science as my major. But at American University, they had 4 professors, very, very small program. And I started doing some research and just fell in love with Penn State's program, the Environmental Resource Management program. And I think was just really drawn to the basics of soil and water, and really, really appreciated how so much of their programming focused around that. I think there's a lot of different environmental science programs that can go in so many different directions. And theirs was very basic and complex at the same time, and just fell in love with it once I ended up transferring my junior year to Penn State, and just could not get enough of it, and really found watershed work through Matt Royer. He's been on the podcast. He is just such a tremendous leader. It'd be really interesting to think, or I don't know if anyone's actually counted how many environmental professionals locally he brought into the world of watershed restoration. But I was his intern my senior year, and just didn't look back. As soon as I started working for him, I knew that this was the space that I wanted to dedicate myself to.
That's awesome. Yeah, those roles of mentors and people who we can look up to make such a big difference. So that's awesome to hear that connection.
Now, when you moved over to Penn State, what was your favorite part of that? I mean, you said there's so much more to it. What was your favorite part of that curriculum?
I think I loved how grounded it was in the environment around the campus.
Mm-hmm.
I had classes where I was outside in a stream. I had classes where I was out in a wetland every week. And there was really wonderful adjunct professors. It was just so built into the real world. And it was also very thoughtfully, I guess, bipartisan almost. I remember my mind being blown because we had someone from Marcellus Shale Company come in and speak to us. And typically you think, oh, they're the enemy. Oh my God. And like, why would an environmental class bring in someone from Marcellus Shale? And I just remember my mind being blown about, these are all different resources. And really the job as environmental professionals is to help us understand how to use them responsibly. We can't really think about it as the bad guy and the good guy.
Right.
We need to really just focus on how we can work together and how we can build a responsible relationship with these resources. And I think that was the magic of and still is the ERM program, the Environmental Resource Management program.
Oh, so close.
She saved it.
You saved yourself from acronym buzzer there, yeah. So from there, then you started your career at the Conservation District.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to your to your home building here.
15 feet over that way.
Yeah. What was enticing about that job for you?
I knew from working with Matt in my internship my senior year that conservation districts were really the front line of environmental work, and that I would just learn so much from working there. And my intuition was correct. I loved my first few years that I spent at the district. I don't think that there's any better way to get to know the PA Clean Streams Law and the Clean Water Act. I remember being handed a book of regulations, and the nerd that I am, truly did read it and, peruse some parts, but just really dove into understanding how, the laws, the regulations really turn into how we excavate, how we build, how we farm, and just loving loving having that opportunity right out of school to make those connections and be in the real world. I think there was something about having, studied it and then being out walking on a farm in my muck boots, shaking hands with project managers and farmers and just really, seeing it in the real world and having a role in it was just really, really, really special. And I learned so much that I still use today, just as far as understanding, where the limitations are, where the opportunities are, and where things can be tough for those, working and managing, various industries.
You kind of blended from the district and that work to the Alliance directly. What was the connection for you? And what was the main thing that made you want to go to the nonprofit? Because they're really different sectors, like you're saying, not sectors, but partner organizations. Their goals can be really different at certain times or for certain parts of the work. And so, I'm curious what drew you to a different type of work.
Yeah, I think after a couple years of working in permitting and inspecting just sites under development, I wanted to be able to go above and beyond just sort of the basic benchmark that we were holding folks to. This is the bare minimum of what we expect as far as when a site is under construction. And I wanted to really be able to have the opportunity to get creative and think bigger. And I actually had considered going to grad school, but then there was just something really fortuitous about the opening at the Alliance. Yeah. And I hadn't known who the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay was. And I can't even remember which job board I saw the job announcement on, but I applied and received the position, and it just instantly felt really, really right. Exactly what I was looking for as far as the opportunity to really think about what the community needed and go and seek grant dollars to make those dreams come true.
Timing is amazing when it works and you're open to possibilities. I'm so glad that you found that fit.
Yeah, me too. 8 years later.
A journey that you never know what's going to happen with those steps. But if you can give a little bit of background about the Alliance for the Chesapeake.
Yeah, that's important. Huh? The Alliance is just over 50 years old, and we work with communities, companies, and conservationists to improve the lands and waters of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. And really what that looks like is just building partnerships across the landscape. We work specifically upland, knowing that, most of the streams that we need to be focusing on are ones that we can jump across. We can't do all that much to the bay itself directly. And we have 4 different program areas that we do that in: agriculture, green infrastructure, forest, and then stewardship and engagement. So forest is really focusing on different ways that we can work with either woodlands or plant and maintain riparian forest buffers. Green infrastructure has some really awesome relationships with different urban communities to install small-scale green infrastructure projects like rain gardens and backyards, or do some really larger green infrastructure work like living shorelines. And then stewardship and engagement is bigger conferences like Chesapeake Watershed Forum, and just various ways of educating and inspiring folks to get involved in those other 3 program areas.
It's awesome. It has such a big reach. And the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, 64,000 square miles is a massive amount of space that you guys are trying to cover. So congrats on all you've accomplished. And
thank you.
That whether there was a growth plan in place or not, the impacts of that are definitely felt in ways. So one of the things that you did in that role, or in that first couple of years as the program manager for the Alliance, what are some of the types of practices? Like, you did a mix of stormwater, agriculture, green infrastructure, buffers. What made you want to focus in on agriculture in particular? Or was your plate kind of handed to you of like, here's everything you need to take care of?
Yeah, back then, the Alliance had really structured our positions to be generalists. So there was a little bit of everything. And it was a much smaller team. There was only 3 people on the team.
In Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a little bit of some urban tree work that was really neat. There was some workforce development as far as trying to replicate some successful things that we had done down in Maryland. And then I had walked into an application that was not awarded to work in the Octobero watershed that my predecessor had applied for. And so I was able to make some tweaks to that. And I think some of the tweaks came from my experience from working with Amish farmers and just understanding that community that led to us then getting the successful INSR. I'm going to Innovative Nutrient Sediment Reduction Award.
Your brain was faster than my finger.
So we ended up getting $1 million award to work in the south of Lancaster and Chester County.
Now you can hit the cheering.
And I think at that time, because this would have been about 8 years ago, I think the models were really showing just how terrible things were in Lancaster. We knew that ag was majority, responsible. And so there were a lot of signals, but I think my heart was also drawn to working with the plain sect community and having worked with them at the district, understood that there were gaps that could be filled, and ways that a nonprofit could fill in with a little bit more flexibility. And that grant, that $1 million grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, allowed us to really apply some of those different theories and be pretty successful in building some relationships. And so as we followed what we were as a team most passionate about, it just kind of happened naturally. I don't know if I ever specifically made the choice of, okay, I don't want to work in forest, or I don't want to work in green infrastructure anymore. I'm done with stormwater.
I don't know that we can ever be done with stormwater.
Yeah. I think we just, as a team, got really, really excited and just continued to follow more opportunity in ag. And then all of a sudden, they reached a point where I needed to just solely focus on agriculture. And that's when I became ag director.
Okay. And what was the Alliance's growth plan for Pennsylvania?
We didn't have a plan in place.
Okay.
Again, we were just following opportunities, and I was able, once I became Pennsylvania director, I was able to hire a number of folks, unfortunately, also from the district. And
like you said, a good learning space.
Yeah, and some other offices across the state, and we created this really wonderful team of folks that understood ag, understood where there were gaps, and bringing on Ryan Davis, as forest manager was huge, and he's just really exploded our riparian forest buffer program and beyond. I mean, it's not just riparian forest buffers; it's all type of forest work. And so, I don't think we ever said, hey, we want 30 people in the Pennsylvania office. We just kind of knew that we had a lot of ideas that we were excited about, and really started to get some traction. And here we are.
Well, I'm picturing an image that I've seen in a number of slide presentations that you've done, and it has the tagline of "You scream, I scream, we all scream for clean streams." This is typically something we associate with ice cream, but you're going to have to give us more details on why that is tied to the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah. So as we started to get really excited about our work with the plain sect communities in Lancaster and surrounding counties, we realized that a wonderful way to engage with more farmers would be to really get in touch with their supply chain, and had the opportunity to connect with John Cox, the former CEO of Turkey Hill Dairy, and have some really wonderful conversations with him to talk about how Turkey Hill might take more of a role in clean water. And I think, the formation of the Clean Water Partners probably really aided John's interest in that, because at the time that we had those conversations with John, the Clean Water Partners were just a teeny tiny idea forming. So thank you for that.
Likewise.
History of the Lancaster Clean Water Partners. And John, I remember him saying, if there's anything that Turkey Hill can do to help Lancaster County, you let us know. So we made sure to follow up on that. And I think I can remember the most critical question that we asked him that I can tell just a major light bulb went off for him was, do you know how many farms that supply milk to Turkey Hill have a conservation plan? And he said, I haven't thought about that. And 2 weeks later, I and Chris Thompson, the district manager at the Lancaster County Conservation District, got an email from him with draft language to put in the new bid that he was about to send out for a new co-op to supply Turkey Hill Dairy. And the language was a requirement for conservation plans, implementation of that plan, and an increased premium for the milk that Turkey Hill would be buying from that dairy cooperative.
Wow.
Yeah. John's always had a bias towards action, but there it is.
Yeah, he took action. He took action quick. So that developed into this incredible partnership that we now have with Maryland Virginia Milk Producers Cooperative Association. They are now called Mayola. They actually, about 60% of their farms are in Pennsylvania, even though their former name had Maryland and Virginia in the title. Just some long-standing history there of milk co-ops and naming. And you can actually buy their products in store. So for the first time in Pennsylvania now, I purchased Mayola eggnog at the Lancaster Costco. Whoa. And I was so excited when my husband and I were Christmas shopping at Costco to see it. And I took a little selfie with the sample counter of eggnog and sent it to my colleagues at Mayola, because we've been working with them for, a very long time now, and to be able to actually see their products in store. And they have a little link to their sustainability efforts on the product. On the package.
On the label itself.
On the package, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they've really branded themselves, especially under their new name, Mayola, as being a sustainable local company of dairies.
Wow.
So just really, really neat. And I guess just backing up. So they were awarded the bid, and we ended up meeting in the boardroom of Turkey Hill Dairy, Turkey Hill, the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, and back then Maryland Virginia Co-op. We were all a little nervous, this new entity, not knowing what we were going to do about this opportunity ahead of us. And as soon as we all did introductions, there was this moment of realization that we were all there to help the farmers. And I can't remember exactly what was said, but I just remember that there was this moment where all of our shoulders in the room relaxed, and we just realized that we were all there for the same reason. And it was because we wanted to help our farmers improve their impact on our local water quality, but not blame them, not point fingers, just really do what we all could to be supportive and be helpful. And we just sort of rolled up our sleeves and got to work. And here we are 7 years later, and their team has grown to be 9 sustainability team members in addition to their regular field crew. They've really just built sustainability ethics into their brand and their mission as a company. And our team has grown exponentially across the watershed thanks to our learnings with them and developed new partnerships out of our work with them. And I think that, I know from our work that they have more sustainability team members than any other co-op that we've come across. And their ratio of sustainability team member to farmer is higher than any other dairy co-op that we know. Just that's their service that they're providing to their farmers is higher than any other company, I think, potentially in the country. That's how much they've committed to this work. It's really special.
That's an incredible story. It's such a powerful message. And that moment, I can just see it, of the shoulder relaxing. And wow, what a powerful story. I'll scream for ice cream anytime you want. Yeah. That happens.
Have you had similar type of corporate meetings, arrangements along that vein since then?
Yeah. So just with Maryland Virginia Co-op, or Mayola Co-op alone, we grew from serving Turkey Hill Dairy as the customer. So when I say customer, it's the entity that's purchasing dairy product from the cooperative.
Right.
So the first customer was obviously Turkey Hill Dairy. And then we worked with Nestle on some neat things. We've worked with Giant Foods, which is the giant stores below the Mason-Dixon line. There's actually 2 different giant companies. It's kind of interesting. And then most recently, we've been working with Starbucks. With Mayola, which is really, really, really cool. Starbucks is a really, really special company.
She's going to fuel the entire conservation industry moving forward. More caffeine.
Yeah. We need the next tagline we need from you, Kenn, is something fun about coffee and conservation.
I'll get right on.
Yeah. And then out of that, understanding that model, that a nonprofit, a dairy co-op, and then a customer or customers of the dairy co-op, there's something magical there. We built a partnership with Land O'Lakes and the Hershey Company. And that one was the first of its kind in that we really paired climate goals with water quality goals. And we were able to match $1 million from EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, with
You're good at this, by the way.
$1 million from the Hershey company. And then all of that funding going toward Land O'Lakes farms for various types of practices that would have a dual water quality and climate benefit. So that was really special in that we know that we need to really ramp up our climate mitigation work. And there's some practices that on farm increase emissions while benefiting water quality. So that project was the first one where we really dove into that and tried to tackle that and figure out what our target goals should be and how to work around some of those limitations.
I'm just dumbfounded, these huge companies that care so much about the environment. That's neat.
It keeps me very optimistic and makes me so excited. The future, I think we've got a positive outlook and I think it comes down to consumers. These companies are doing it. It is the right thing to do, but they wouldn't do it if it was going to put them out of business. So there's business sense to it. And I think that as consumers, that's something that we need to keep in mind, that, the choices that we make in the grocery store, the brands that we're loyal to, or even the companies that we reach out to with various questions about their products, that makes a difference. There's ripple effects and there's, directions that companies are drawn toward because of their interactions with their most loyal customers, their consumers.
Tell us a little bit about your work, like as the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, similarly to some of our other local nonprofits like Lancaster Conservancy. Everybody has a way that they work with the public. You mentioned the 4 different parts of the Alliance for the Chesapeake. When you mentioned that a customer is a for-profit company who is buying a milk product, that's your customer, right? Mm-hmm. So how does the Alliance live in that kind of in-between world where, you're trying to get volunteers when you have an event to plant trees, but you, Jenna, you're trying to work with the CEO of Hershey. That's a different kind of relationship building. How does that work to all come together for the Alliance, I suppose?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say we haven't quite figured out, for our ag program, the best way to engage regular folks, folks that would just be interested in volunteering with us because our work is more complex. The greatest opportunity for us to work with volunteers is on our tree plantings. A riparian forest buffer is a tree planting next to a stream. So riparian means streamside. And we require that any farm that we're working with plants a minimum 35 feet of trees next to their stream, just because we think that it's absolutely critical to the restoration of the stream. And it's a little bit that we ask for the ag BMPs that we are hopefully funding as close to 100% as possible. Best management practices. Oh, you got me. Yep, that would be the one. That would be the one that I don't.
But you have got through so many of those up until that point.
You were waiting. You were waiting.
You were on it. You were on. I always have my finger hovering above the button. It's very distracting for some guests. Can you describe what the buffer, what those trees, the benefit that they have on that waterway?
Yeah. So first and foremost, the roots are reinforcing the banks, kind of like rebars, how we like to describe them. And then secondly, they're shading the stream. So most of the life that exists in our streams is used to, or had evolved to exist in a cooler shaded stream. So it's helping us bring down the temperatures. That way the life that should exist there is getting the type of quality that it's hoping for. Yeah. And then also providing some natural organic material into the stream, to provide various food, habitat, etc., for things that are living in the stream. So really just helping that stream live its best life, be what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
We all want to be living our best life.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if all it takes is a tree.
And some ice cream.
And some ice cream, yes.
Jenna, this is all kinds of different types of capacity. And the Lancaster Clean Water Partners, our whole mission is to make sure that partners like you have the capacity that you need. Your team and the capacity there has grown, as you said, exponentially. What are some of the biggest, I guess everybody has growing pains, but some of those lessons learned, I think, as you grew, but then what really excites you about that expansion of the types of capacity? Because like you in leadership is one kind of capacity. The number of people that you have able to host volunteer events is a different kind of capacity. So I'm thinking of all the different types of things that are part of your team.
I would say one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in growing our work over the past 8 years is that it's okay and beneficial to focus. I think that both myself and a number of team members were so passionate about what we do that we wanted to do it all.
Do it all, yeah.
And it's been really, really helpful for us to at least annually draw some lines around what we do want to do and what we don't want to do, or what we just can't do. And really so prioritizing and focusing is just so important if you really want to, drive your impact forward. And let's see, what other lessons? I think that, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, fun is really important. And I think something that we've tried to really make time and space for and build into our culture at the Alliance is that fun in order to access creativity when it comes to problem solving and building various partnerships.
I love it.
I think really trying to make space for that, work hard, play hard, in order to, work better and come up with more solutions. And that can just look like, trying to make time for lunch together as a team. Ideally, post-COVID, that world's a little bit different with all of us working remotely. But I think just making space as you can for time together that's not necessarily structured to allow for bonding and those types of creative discussions and brainstorming is really, really, really important. And I don't know how cognizant I was of that until COVID hit and we lost that space and that opportunity to do that. So that is something I try to prioritize and into 2025 hope to prioritize more of. And opportunities. I think we hope to continue to grow our team, but also hopefully specialize, our skill sets a little bit more. Right now, we're trying to hire a soil health specialist that we're really, really excited about. So for the most part, our team has been folks on the ag program specifically that are generalists in working with farmers. So, they're helping farms decide what they want to do and then, shepherding them through that process, through implementation. And we now realize that we have the need for, a very specific skill set of soil health to help us, reach the next level of our work. So I think that's something big for us is moving into some specialties in order to enhance the services that we can provide to our partners, the companies that we work with, and also our farmers that we partner with.
That's a great example of the true diversity of types of capacity that we all need to accomplish these goals. They're pretty big when you look at the Bay watershed, but looking at Lancaster and the specifics that we have here, it is a place that we can try new things. It's a place that we need to do things at scale. And you guys are doing that from the corporate side to the individual landowner by landowner. And the relationships are the essential piece of that, no matter which scale you're at.
Yeah, the relationship piece is the most important part of it, for sure.
And in amongst all of that, you are also on the board for Lancaster Clean Water Partners. First off, what drew you to that?
I love Lancaster, and I'm a professional working in water quality. So I think it's just
It's a natural fit.
A natural fit. I can't remember if I reached out or if you reached out. I can't remember what the first initial moment of connection was. Yeah, actually, I do know. I was on the Watershed Action Team with Matt Royer.
Yeah.
And co-lead when it first got started. So I've been involved and was just naturally drawn to the board and just really excited. And I think having worked in ag where there's a whole diversity of different ways for farmers to engage in implementation work, understood the need to get us all looking in the same direction and really understood the collective impact, hopes and dreams of the Lancaster Clean Water Partners. And just excited to get involved and just really inspired by all the work that Allyson and the team have accomplished.
It's been such a good fit. And you really have stepped into leadership and really grown into it. And I'm really grateful to be able to work with you as our chair right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Allyson. It's an honor to be able to work with you as well.
So looking at 2025, you can say that it's beyond 2025 if you want to talk Bay numbers, but there are some pretty exciting goals, some pretty big deadlines coming up for all of us. So what does the Alliance have on tap? Because you guys have been working on the really broad selection of projects, but some that have pretty big implications. What are you excited about? Or what are you nervous about? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, our corporate sustainability initiative, for the most part, has focused on dairy until recently. So in addition to Mayola and Turkey Hill Dairy and Starbucks and some of the partners I mentioned, we're also working with Organic Valley, Dairy Farmers of America. And the biggest hurdle I see immediately in front of us is that the best management practices, not going to get me again, Ken.
Actually, you can use it now.
Oh, I can?
Yes,
okay.
You can use it now.
Okay. The BMPs that we know we need for our rivers and streams that are imperative for water quality, some of them increase emissions on a farm. So the worst offender is a manure storage facility. Right. We know that we need, and these are the circular cement structures that most folks driving around in the county and really across the watershed.
They look like a really gross round pole.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect description. So that is imperative to water quality because we want manure in a contained space. That way, in case of rainfall, it's not just washing away into our waterways. However, when you collect manure, you create an anaerobic environment that lets methanogens just go to town, live their best life, if you will. And just really, really, really dramatically increase emissions of that farm. So a huge issue for us in the conservation community caring about both water quality and climate is that we have no solutions for that right now for the small dairy farms that make up a lot of Lancaster County and a lot of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So there are things like cover and flare and other technologies that work for larger farms in the Midwest or out west. But our farms are so much smaller, we don't yet have any type of technology that can offset or really deal with the emissions increase of those small manure storage structures. So that's something that my team is really desperately racing for a solution to and really trying to engage with various partners to figure out some type of technology that we can deploy, especially with our plain sect farmers, because there are ways of managing through like composting or, separating the dry and liquid manure. I don't want to go into too much of the technicalities of manure, but we don't really have solutions for our plain sect farmers, our small plain sect dairy farms. And that's what we need in order to solve both our water quality and our climate issues and maintain our dairy farmer community, keep them competitive in the dairy industry as the dairy industry really takes a look at its climate goals. So I would say that's one of our biggest concerns. And then something that we're particularly excited about is we are starting to take some steps into poultry. So we're now working with Purdue's organic arm up here, Coleman. We have a couple of grants to be supporting them and actually received $300,000 from Purdue to commit to their farmers.
That's awesome.
So we
Thank you, Purdue.
are really excited about that. And we are helping their poultry farmers install vegetative environmental buffers, which is similar to a riparian forest buffer, but planting trees along the house to help with the emissions coming out of the fan system of the farm, and then also just helping pollinator habitat, etc. And working also with Jergowitz, a duck company, Peking Duck Company. They are local, and also working with Charles Brothers, which is a Lancaster County company with a really interesting history. They grow a French breed of chicken that they, I guess, discovered in France, La Belle Patrimone, and they supply Whole Foods with this very, very fancy, and it's supposed to be like one of the tastiest, if not the tastiest, breeds of chicken. So they're a really neat company, and we're working them specifically to develop regenerative ag standards. So poultry, we're really, really excited about the growth of our poultry corporate partnerships.
So many creative things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's an amazing diversity of people involved in all of this. And to think about, like you said, the way we excavate to the way that we build relationships to the way that we shop. All of this is part of environmental work. I love it. I love it. And we need so much expertise in that. So congrats to the way your team has blended those worlds and I think expanded the network with Lancaster as a hub for pieces of it, but across the whole Bay watershed, you brought in so many experts, but also people who may never have touched this otherwise. So I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that having been said, we have arrived at my favorite part of the show, and that is trivia time.
Do it.
Yeah. You are a working mom.
Yes.
Kudos to you. I have no idea how you do it. I really don't. Something to be extremely proud of, though. So we are doing some mother trivia. The answer to each of these questions will contain some variation of the word mother. Mother, mom, mama, something like that, So starting out, she won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979 for her work bringing help to the suffering humanity.
Mother Teresa.
That is correct. This 1999 stage musical, based on a 1975 song by Swedish pop group ABBA, later became a feature film in 2008.
Mamma Mia.
It is Mamma Mia.
You could just cut them off if you've already figured this all out.
No, I spent all this time writing these answers. No. If you know, cut me off. It's fine. This was started by Anna Jarvis to honor the sacrifices of mothers that mothers make for their children to promote peace and reconciliation in the aftermath of the Civil War.
I don't know that one.
Oh, it's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Yes.
Oh
I had no idea it started that long ago. Yeah.
Now you didn't
One
see.
of those Hallmark things.
I didn't know it.
We do trivia, you learn stuff. How about that?
Yeah.
Roots in the Civil War. My goodness.
Played by actress Jennifer Coolidge, this character of American Pie fame was the obsession of Finch, played by Eddie K. Thomas. Her name was revealed in the second film to be Janine, but she is more commonly known as what?
I have no idea.
In American Pie, the character in American Pie. Stifler's mom.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, there you go. That was awkward. Anyway. This is the common name for a circuit board inside general purpose computing systems, including personal computers.
Motherboard.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. And she cut me off too. That was perfect. This term was first used in California during the gold rush to describe a rich vein of gold-rich quartz.
Motherlode.
There you go. This is the common moniker of Emilia Clarke's character Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones.
Oh, Mother of Dragon.
Yeah.
There you go. What does Sierra Madre translate to in English?
Oh gosh, what is Sierra? How embarrassing. Something mother. Mountain mother?
Yes! Holy crap! Great job. Yes, it's literally Mother Mountain because Spanish switches them, but that's absolutely correct. And that is our trivia, and that is our show.
All right, Jenna.
Thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about all the cool stuff that you have done with corporations through the Alliance and the great work that you're doing. And we do appreciate the work that you do on our board and your leadership. So
kicking off the season. Thanks, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for all that you both do.
And we will be back in just a couple of weeks. Until then, take care.
Bye, everybody.
This episode of Clean Water Conversations is sponsored by Chesapeake Conservancy. Conserve, restore, and empower with data. And produced by Lancaster Clean Water Partners, striving for clean and clear waterways by 2040. If you have comments or suggestions for show topics or are interested in becoming a sponsor, please contact us at info@lancastercleanwaterpartners.com. Thanks for listening.